Welcome back to I Survived the Titanic. So today we're reading chapter 3, and then you'll be answering the questions. Chapter 3. George didn't mean to get in trouble. It's just that he got all these great ideas. Like the first day at sea when he had climbed up a huge ladder into the crow's nest. "Aunt Daisy!" he yelled, waving his arms. She had looked up and she almost fainted. And yesterday, George had explored the entire ship. Aunt Daisy kept warning him that he'd get lost. She said the ship was like a big maze, but George could always find his way. Even in the huge forest that stretched out behind their farm. Mommy used to say that George had a map of the world behind his eyes. He saw the engine rooms and the boiler rooms and wound up in the glass recreation deck. He was watching some like marbles when he noticed he was alone. A little boy was staring up at him with huge eyes the color of amber glass. "See?" the boy said. "See?" And he held out a postcard of the Statue of Liberty. He looked so proud like he'd carved that big lady himself. George felt like he had to show something in return, so he took out his good luck charm. The Bowie knife Papa had given him on his 9th birthday. He let the little boy run his fingers across the handle. It was carved from Elf's antler. "Enzo," the little boy said, puffing out his chest and pointing to him. "George," said George. "Giorgio!" cried the little boy with a smile. A little man sitting near them laughed. He was reading an Italian-English dictionary and had the same huge eyes as the boy. George guessed right that he was Enzo's father. "Marco," he said, shaking George's hand, "you are our first American friend." Marco must have been studying that dictionary pretty hard because George understood everything that he said. George learned that Enzo was 4 years old. He had lost his mama too. He and Marco came from a little town in Italy and they were moving to New York City. George told Marco about their farm and their trip and explained that any decent person living in New York had to be a Giants fan. For some reason, Marco thought that was funny. When it was time for George to leave, Enzo got very upset. Very, very upset. "Giorgio!" he howled, loud enough for the entire ship to hear. People stared and put their hands over their ears. Marco promised that they'd see George again, but Enzo wouldn't quit howling. George had never heard anything so loud. By the time that Enzo let go of George's leg and George ran back up to the suite, Aunt Daisy was practically howling too. "I thought you fell overboard," she cried. But even then, she wasn't really mad. She didn't really get mad until last night. How that lady screamed when George came sliding down the banister like he was really a giant squid. George didn't really mind getting yelled at. He was used to it. Not a day at school went by without Miss Landers shouting, "Boy, sit down!" And Papa, well, he always seemed to have George. But not Aunt Daisy. And being on this trip was supposed to make her happy for the first time since that last year. It had been Uncle Street's maiden voyage of the Titanic. He struck it rich selling automobiles and had plenty of money to pay for one of the biggest suites in the ship. Uncle Cliff had his accident. George was sure that Aunt Daisy would cancel the trip. Instead, she invited George and Phoebe to go with her. And to George's shock, Papa said, "Good. Your aunt's going on this trip to find the little piece," he'd said to George. "I expect that you'll be a perfect gentleman." And if he wasn't, George knew that he'd be shipped off to army school for sure. Papa had been talking about that place ever since George brought the 2-foot rat snake to school to show Miss Landers because they were studying reptiles. George had been perfect the whole time in England. He'd let Aunt Daisy drag him to fancy clothes stores for a new pair of boots. He even learned to drink tea without spitting it back in the cup. But, well, the Titanic. The ship gave him so many great ideas. But now he'd really be perfect. No more ideas for the rest of the voyage. And that's the end of chapter 3. You continue.